Hello everyone, it's me, Juan 54, back in another video. Today, we are going to be reacting to Game Theory Deltarune. Now, I'm not going to lie, this was a total whiplash for me because we haven't been talking about Deltarune as of late. I mean, to be honest, the last time I talked about Deltarune was during MatPat's final farewell tour, I guess. That was a long ago. That was around when the talk of the town was Deltarune Chapter 2. So I'm not gonna lie, if you're noticing what time I'm releasing the video, I had a lot of catching up to do. But yeah. With that being said, we figured no time with the present. We're gonna be reacting to the new Deltarune theory, and let's just go to it, shall we? Let's just go to it.
The legend of the Deltarune is alive.
What?
Many of the characters we've fallen in love with actually play very different roles than we originally thought. And now it's time to reveal the truth. The truth about our heroes, their greatest enemy, and the legend of the Deltarune itself.
Okay.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that promises to give the new Pope Leo a copy of Deltarune if given the chance. But if I'm bringing up that dead meme, that can only mean one thing. Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 have finally arrived, and
Dang,
I have been
releasing
dying
both
to get
in a
stuck
bundle,
into
really.
these new installments of the story. Have some questions answered from previous chapters, and as always, try to solve the new questions these chapters present. And there is a lot to discuss, my friends.
Really?
We're going to be uncovering the true identities of some familiar characters and what their roles are within Deltarune. Learning that the things we thought to be set in stone may not actually be true anymore. Seems to be a running theme on this channel recently. And of course, figuring out
Oh
what
yeah,
it means
that
in the
recent
future
FNAF
of this
video.
franchise. So, gulp down that juice, theorists. It's time to open up a dark fountain and dive back into the world of Deltarune. Lee?
Oh. Well, wait, what's Lee doing here?
Are you here to help me take on the lore of Deltarune? What? No, don't be ridiculous. I'm here because today's sponsor needs us to save the DC universe.
Alright, we back from that advertisement. And I will say, ladies and gentlemen, we're kind of uploading with the old tablet. I know, really, it should have been the new tablet, but I'm not gonna lie. There were some technical issues with the third tablet. Hopefully, it doesn't mean getting a new tablet. Hopefully, because that was a lot of money. But we're just gonna improvise and use this tablet for today. So if the audio feels off, that's the reason. But anyways.
It's been almost 4 years since Chapter 2 was released, and over a year since our last video on it. So before we get too deep into this dark world, let me give you a quick recap. Deltarune is the spiritual successor to the wildly popular indie RPG Undertale. A game where every small decision you made, from defeating enemies to how you spoke to characters, completely altered the outcome of the game. Deltarune, however, works a little bit differently. There aren't multiple paths you can take that lead to different endings. Characters aren't killed, but instead the battles end after a certain amount of damage is made and you spare them. The whole theme of this game is that your choices don't matter. Over the last 2 chapters, we met Chris, a quiet individual who explores places called the Dark Worlds with former bully Susie. During these adventures, they meet Rolze, a creature from the Dark World who wants Chris to fulfill the legend of
the prince, actually.
This prophecy was that 3 heroes, a human, a monster, and a prince from the dark, would seal the dark fountains and banish the angels' heaven. Again, highlighting the idea that their destinies are set. They cannot be changed. And even if you try to force a change, like you can in Chapter 2, where you do a genocide-like run, making your friendly neighbor Noel freeze enemies to death, it still doesn't change the outcome. It only affects how you got there and how Noel behaves. Not exactly what people were expecting when the game first came out, but something you can...
Baby girl don't deserve that. She really don't.
And do to affect the outcome of this channel is hitting that subscribe button. We're actually on our way to hitting 20 million subscribers, and we're planning something really special for when we hit it. But if you want to find out what that is, you gotta hit that button. If you're skilled enough, that is.
Weave.
Oh, wow, you actually did it. I better get to planning then. But in the meantime, let's chat about Chapter 3, because we are met with a similar linear path to the previous previous chapters. In
Okay.
chapter 3, we travel through the dark world opened by Chris at the end of chapter 2, when we take on Tenor, the TV set that has been forgotten. Tenor has Chris's mother Toriel imprisoned under the instruction of the Knight. This is a character we have been waiting to hear more about from the first few chapters. They are a big part of the legend of the Deltarune, being the one
in chapter 3 show us why.
The Roaring, an apocalyptic event that will doom everyone. And by the end of chapter 3,
the rumbling,
the Knights
sorry.
shows themselves,
The roaring.
defeating our heroes and fleeing to a bunker in town with poor Undyne in tow.
Dang, they took the town's cop.
Into this bunker, but they believe they have to get it from the mayor, Noelle's mother. This is where chapter 4 kicks off. Susie and Chris invite themselves.
Hey, before we continue, I just gotta say that Noelle does have a pretty good crib. She really does have a really nice house, but I guess that's the benefits when your parent happens to be, mayor of the town. But like, god damn, look at this place, man. I bet if it was like in real life, like it'll be like massive.
To Noelle's to snoop. After finding part of the code, a new dark fountain is formed at the church nearby. Susie and Chris enter and begin to learn about the prophecy of the Deltarune. Once again, Chris seals the dark fountain after going up against the Roaring Knight and the Titan that they summon. A sign of the roaring, that is.
A sign of things to come.
Let's talk about the Roaring Knight for a minute. For a long time, their identity has been a mystery hanging over this community. Could it be Father Alvin? He seemed mighty suspicious. Was it really Chris because they opened a dark fountain at the end of chapter 2? Well, finally, we've gone to see the Roaring Knight in the flesh, or darkness, and it's clearly not Chris. Would be pretty tricky to fight against yourself. But
I mean, unless the Roaring Knight happens to be, that whole cliche of, the Roaring Knight happens to be the evil doppelganger of the protagonist, like a clone, or representative of the hero's anger. Spoiler alerts, it's not Chris. I'm pretty sure it's not Chris. Although it would be kind of crazy.
Chapters that darkness cannot leave the dark world because they aren't really real like Chris and Susie.
Yeah, they're objects from the real world.
Playing cards, toys, objects that take on new meaning in the shadows. But after you defeat, or more likely lose to the Roaring Knight, he runs away to the world of light and is able to exist inside the bunker, implying that this knight isn't a darkener, but a lightener like Chris and Susie that is able to exist in both worlds. And with this being a lightener, we should also be able to take a look at their physical appearance to narrow it down more. Chris and Susie still look like themselves in the dark world, so it's likely there will be some similarities between the knight and their lightener form. Starting with the head, it's clear that this Roaring Knight has antlers. Other than making
I was about to say horns.
This connects the Roaring Knight specifically to Noelle and her family, the Holidays, a family of reindeer. Immediately, my mind went to Carol, Noelle's mother. She seemed pretty evil so far, with her red text talking directly to the player and her neglectful treatment of Noelle. She even has a katana on the wall which would fit the knight's sword. But when I looked more closely at the knight's sword, something else caught my attention. When they hold it upright, we can see that the bottom has a flat edge. If this were a katana or any other traditional sword, that flat part in the pixel art would be higher up to act as a guard for the hand. But this one is
I mean, I hope. What kind of sword has a handle that's way down below? You might as well just you're basically just offering yourself to just grab the sharp edges of the blade. Like, at that point, the enemy don't need to attack me. I've already taken out myself.
Plus, if you take a look at the top of the sword, it's more rounded than it is pointy. The pose almost reminds me of when I was a kid and how I tried to balance a baseball bat in my hand.
Dang.
Wait, in previous chapters, Noelle recalls how her older sister Des would hit Chris with a bat if they were lying. And we know that taking items into the dark world transforms them, like our sword really just being a pencil. Des is also the only member of the family we haven't met yet. We actually know very little about Des other than her full name is December, keeping with the holiday theme. She is no longer around, and weirdly, that she's left-handed, based on her mouse being on the left side of her computer.
Kind of like the Roaring Knight.
The knight also wields their sword in their left hand.
Yeah.
There's more trying to look for the code to the bunker, Chris enters Dess's room and finds Dess's guitar. That guitar has shown up once before during the Spamtop sweepstakes ARG that happened a few years ago. Players found a web link called deltarune.com/Dess. By going to that webpage and clicking on the guitar, it plays a song called findher.ogg. This musical motif
Beautiful song.
is also present in the Roaring Knights theme song. Music in this game is exceptional.
Hey man, the fight song slaps, okay? I'm pretty sure we already learned our lessons from Sonic Frontiers, man. Like, each boss fight from Sonic Frontiers is always a banger. My personal favorite is, Find Your Flames. I really do enjoy that music.
He's a fantastic composer, and so to make a song with such a similar motif cannot be a mere coincidence. Especially when in Chapter 3, there is a slot machine where you can enter as many points as you like to get a prize. And if you choose...
I also do want to know, like, maybe I missed this during my note-taking of Chapter 3 and 4, but it's like, the fact that the ARG says find her, it seems to me that for some reason Des is missing for some reason. Like, but why? Why is she gone missing? I mean, I guess it has to do about her mother. I mean, Carol does seem like a little unempathetic, but I mean, like stern. But I mean, I guess that's expected. You're the mayor, so I mean, like, you have to have some sort of authority. You'll most likely have an authority presence, it's like being a principal, but like 5 times more than that. But I mean, like, geez, like, was it ever explained? Maybe I might have to check it again. But leave that. But what do you guys think? Like what? Why is Des missing? I'm pretty sure it's. Will we ever get that lore relevance up? I mean, I feel like the reason why Des left is probably because of her mother. I mean, like, her mother is kind of very strict. I mean, like, if she was a little unempathetic with Noelle, I can't even describe what. I don't even want to know what about Des. But anyway, let's continue.
Spend 1,225 points. A strange room appears. In this room is another machine that contains a piece of lacquer, small, dark, and triangular, just like a guitar pick. Don't think I forgot about the number of points you entered to get to the secret room. 1225, as in December 25th, Christmas, a December holiday. And
dang, they just going straight in with this whole holiday,
what do they find?
Holiday stuff.
To the bunker. The code to the bunker that the Roaring Knight is hiding in is inside Dess's guitar. Des is the Roaring Knight. But then why is she fleeting us? Why is she trying to bring about the roaring, letting darkness take over the light world and letting Titans rule? Well, it all comes down to the rest of the legend of the Deltarune.
Okay.
Or should I say, the real legend. In Chapter 4, when we enter the Dark World in the church, a church that believes in the legend of the Deltarune, by the way, we encounter glass
the
panels
third
that
hero, the
Ralsei
prince,
reveals
alone
are
in deepest
prophecy
dark.
of the Deltarune. You'd think we already knew all of this. We were told most of it by Ralsei in Chapter 1, but it turns out there's a little more to the story, and something about it wasn't sitting right with me. In the later part of the
first
prophecy,
hero,
it
the cage with human
says
soul and
the
parts.
first hero, the cage with human souls and
That's
parts.
us.
The second hero, the girl with hope crossed on her heart. And the third hero, the prince alone in the deepest dark. And last was the girl. At last was the girl. When reading the prophecy, Susie comments on how the prince is Ralsei, the first hero is Chris, and the girl is her. That, however, didn't sit right with me because the image we have of the girl doesn't look like Susie. The image of the first hero is the heart, which is us and Chris being the vessel. The image of the third hero is Ralsei in a robe. But the image of the second hero is carrying a sword and wearing what looks like a gown. Susie doesn't ever really carry a sword. She's known for her axe, and she definitely hasn't worn a gown. Plus, when Susie attempts to open the dark fountain later in the chapter, all the colors were wrong. Things aren't exactly the same as the real dark world, because though Susie knows how to open a dark fountain, she isn't the real hero spoken of in the prophecy.
What?
Susie is simply believing it must be her because Ralsei told her that she was the second hero back in the first chapter. But if I'm saying that's wrong, that Susie isn't the second hero, then there's only really one other character it can be. A girl that wears a gown, has been a member of the hero's party, and when you combine her ring of thorns that you get from her special pure crystal, you get an item called the Twisted Sword. Nice. It's Noelle. Noelle has become a more significant character as the chapters have gone on.
I guess, yeah,
but the Snowgrave route in chapter 2, where you force Noelle to cast magic and freeze people, Noelle is becoming more confident and is gaining the ability to fight. In chapter 4, you also encounter these priestly figures of the Deltarune, each of them telling you a tale connected to the prophecy, and one of them says, "Who will call the girl who snows?" which is referring to what we literally do during the Spamton Neo fight.
We whisper Noelle's name.
And she is summoned, killing Spamton with her ice magic. In
Dang.
part of the prophecy, it says,
R.I.P.
"Love finds its way to the girl." The image here is the same as the second hero, but it has a heart like ours inside it. On a more innocent level, this could be referring to Noelle's crush that she has on Susie. But given all the references to the Snowgrave route that we've already had, I believe there's a darker meaning behind this. In Undertale, we were taught about...
Wait. So is this theory basically telling me that... But I mean, like, there's a choice. Like, we can go the Snowgrave route, or we can just keep on going. Like, I feel like this is the path, like... Keep her going.
A love stat. When we kill enemies, our love increases. But the stat actually stands for level of violence. During the Snowgrave route, Noelle was pushed to become more violent, and the level of violence found its way to her. And this is made super clear in chapter 4. If you've taken the Snowgrave route in chapter 2, you will receive a unique cutscene in chapter 4 when Chris and Susie are in Noelle's house. After trying to find the bunker code in the old guitar, Chris pulls out the heart and stuffs it into a drawer. It's at this point that we start behaving real sus and vents. While moving around the vents, we can hear a conversation
Among Us.
Noelle. She says that last night she saw Chris, the real Chris, who told her that everything was all okay. Until our heart makes its way back into Chris, and the entire conversation shifts as we prove to Noelle that the events of chapter 2 weren't a dream like she thought. Chris then puts the thorn ring back onto Noelle's finger, and when we do, a red crack appears on the screen. This moment is us, the heart. We are the ones trying to control Noelle, forcing her to use her magic, helping her to find her level of violence. And as chapter 4 continues, we see these actions take effect. In the Dark World, when Susie goes ahead, Ralsei suggests instead of us going...
Wait, so... But that means the Snowgrave has to be canon, right? But it's still an option we can do, right? I mean, like... You mean to tell me that regardless, we still have to do the Snowgrave route? Nah, it couldn't be. Or at the very least, you know, something has to happen if we don't do the Snowgrave route, right?
On ahead, we think of someone. If we choose to think of Noelle, the screen turns black and a small red dot with the words "Thank you" appears. Then at the very end of chapter 4, the screen fades to black, and once again, the red dot appears. But this time, it's bigger. The red dot is Noelle's heart forming, love finding its way to the girl, just as the prophecy said it would. All of this is pointing to Noelle, and more specifically, the Snowgrave route being part of the prophecy. The Snowgrave route is the canon series of events.
No!
It felt like it was a decision we were able to make. Kobe Fox is once again showing us that it was destined to be.
Nah, come on, man! Don't strip this choice from me.
The roaring is what will summon the heroes and force them to banish the angels' heaven, banish us. Just like Chris, they want us gone so that their sister is left alone and safe, which explains why we see both of those characters working together throughout the chapters. Chris receives some mysterious messages from their phone, which are implied to actually be the Knight. And if you manage...
Is it though? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, I don't know, it might be me, to say the least, but I thought for sure those phrasings were coming from Carol, to say the least. I don't know why. It just, for me, it was late at night. I had to, you know, go over some notes and all that. And I thought for sure it had to be Carol because, like, it just has to be, right? But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about this. I mean, heck, I'm sleepy still. I'm still sleepy. Didn't have a mocha at all. But what do you guys think? Do you think it was the Roaring Knight on the phone, or do you think it was Carol? Because for me, it feels like Carol, but maybe someone else can convince my mind otherwise.
To defeat the knight at the end of chapter 3, they will literally knight Chris. Chris wants us removed from their body, but they also clearly hate what we are doing to Noelle, putting us in a trash can and kicking the living daylights out of us after we put the thorn ring back on her finger. It's their...
I'm not gonna lie, Chris. I'm not gonna lie. I hate how Chris is disrespecting us like this, because that's just crazy. First of all, you're not in your bathroom. You're in your friend's room, the mayor's house per se, and you decide to kick down their trash with us in it, and you just stomp on it repeatedly. I mean, Chris, I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna show us some respect, because I know it's this game is making it sound like we're the villain, but you're gonna stop that disrespect, or otherwise we're gonna be all Goku Black on this. Just wait until we find someone to beat the Zamasu, or I guess since us the player are possessing Chris, I feel like maybe we're Zamasu and they be the Goku Black. I guess that's how it works. I don't know, man. Just stop that.
Goal to bring about the roaring and force us, the angel, away from them and the lives of their friends. But then, where does all of that leave our monster girl?
Yeah, what happened to Susie?
Gonna get sidelined? Not exactly. In chapter 3, when you're allowed to play the 8-bit minigame, there is a secret ice.
Very reminiscence of the old Zelda games.
Symbol, but it's slightly different to what you might remember. It's pretty hard to see because, well, it's 8-bit, but the symbol actually has 4 triangles on it instead of the usual 3. Before now, we believed the 3 triangles represented Chris, Susie, and Rolse, the 3 heroes. But now we're being shown 4 people are a part of this, and that's actually reflected in the prophecy too. It's just that Susie, and by association we, have been conflating 2 parts of it. The girl that Susie believes to be her is mentioned twice in the prophecy. Once as the second hero, and the second time at the end. At last was the girl. This is a list
At
of
last was the girl.
First the vessel, second the girl, third the prince, and then last is another
4?
girl.
There was 2.
There are 2 separate girls in this prophecy. And if you look into the game files, the image used behind the final girl is labeled Rudebuster. Rudebuster is
But that's Susie. Yeah.
Susie. So though she may not be named as one of the 3 heroes, she clearly
She's still a part of the prophecy.
And I think I know what that role is.
What?
You see, in chapter 4, Rolse confesses to Susie that he was intentionally keeping part of the prophecy a secret. Susie
Why?
manages to get ahead and read it, but before we are able to read it, Susie smashes the glass and starts laughing. She says that she or Chris would never let that happen. Whatever is on that last panel was something that Rolse was worried about Susie and Chris seeing, and clearly it has an effect on Susie. Throughout the chapters, Susie has always struggled to accept reality, constantly denying whatever is being said and wanting to forge her own path. But this time feels different. It's
How
not
so?
an angry defiance. It's uncomfortable, like, haha, but that's not gonna happen, right? And then she quickly tries to change the subject. So what did it say? Well, the lines before this talk about
The final tragedy unveils.
meaning that whatever the destroyed panel said is revealing that tragedy. The ultimate tragedy that I could think of, one that would definitely make Susie uncomfortable, would be the death of a beloved character. And I believe that character is Susie herself.
No!
At the end of the chapter, she starts to tell Chris how she really feels. And it feels very final. It's almost like...
Nah, you gonna take Susie away? Come on, man. Like, I know some people are gonna say yay, and most likely those people are gonna be the ones who only know Susie from chapter 1, aka the bully. But I mean, like, we spent a good more margin with Susie through 2, 3, and 4, and she's ranking up. She's ranking up being, a good character. Don't do her like you did Rex. I remember that people hated Rex from Invincible. Season 1, like he was utterly buns, sesame seeds. That I enjoyed Battle Beast giving him the pimp slap. But he got character development, and I like Rex. only for Langstrom Levy's hating decided to basically causing his death, man. Ugh. Like, I know a lot of people. Don't do Susie like you did Rex, man. I still miss Rex to this day. But if you take away Susie, I know everyone is gonna be hating.
Her ending monologue, her coming to terms with the reality that is set before her, like she's going to die, and is letting Chris know how she really feels and how she doesn't want to move on. Rousey is also acting sketchy throughout both of these new chapters. Not only are they hesitant whenever Susie brings up the prophecy, but Rousey also makes a point to always talk to Chris about how nice Susie is. He even does it directly after Susie smashes the glass. And I always thought that was a little suspicious. Obviously, one of the reasons Rousey is doing this is because they know what we know. Susie isn't one of the heroes. He jumped the gun when Susie arrived and made an assumption only to realize it wasn't correct. And she is instead the second girl mentioned. But the real reason he's acting so strange, I suspect, is because Rousey knows of Susie's fate. And she isn't long for this one.
Wait, I just do have a question, right? I know a lot of people are gonna flame me in the comment section below, but is this still is the theory still going that the Dark Worlds is still like the whole fountains and everything, is that still connected to like Chris's like deep emotions, like it's all in Chris's make believe world? Because like I'm pretty sure like the Dark World, Deltarune as a whole is just like imagination. Like it's a imaginary world that Chris made to basically vent, about the whole her parents getting, Asgore and Toriel getting divorced, Asriel in college right now, the fact that he's alone. I mean, they're alone, and there's no other humans. So, and Chris definitely not looking a goat. So, definitely her biological parents are at this point anywhere. Like, so it's like, would Chris also? I mean, not Chris. Yeah, Chris. Wouldn't Chris know about all this? And like, would she know about this? Or is this like a instance that she doesn't remember because like it's been a very long time, because she used to play this alongside with Asriel before Asriel went to college. So is it like would Chris know about this, or is it that she is just finding out like, oh, she just remembering now, like maybe she's saying, oh no, or does she intend? So basically, what I'm saying is like, does she know and just keeping it a secret for the sake of you know trying to make Susie their friend, or is it they're keeping it intentionally? Like, I don't know, because like, let's be honest, Chris and us, the player, are two different characters. Like, it's kind of very evidently that the actions we do are the actions that Chris doesn't want to do, if that makes sense. I mean, it would be crazy if Chris knows all along and the future chapter reveals that they were lying this whole time. I mean, like, dang.
And so he's trying to make sure however long she has left is an enjoyable experience, rather than us ruining it by favoring Noelle over her. And actually, Noelle is a big reason why I think Susie has to die. Remember,
No, come on.
leads us to banishing the angels.
Why can't no one live?
The previous theory is the good ending here. We are the angel, and our actions are bad for these characters, as we've seen play out with Noelle. And actually, Noelle growing in her levels of violence leads me to believe that we, the players, are growing her powers in order that during the final battle, the angelic-looking Noelle will become the perfect vessel for us to use to control everything and everyone.
Dang. So we're really gonna jump ship from Chris to Noel, hey, I'm not gonna lie, they making Chris sound like Ichidori. I can see it. Like, you guys don't hear it too. If we're training Noel to, if Snowgrave is unfortunately going to be the canon, then that means Noel will be strong, and therefore we take over Noel. If that actually is true, then it really do be like Jujutsu Kaisen. I can see it now. Chris as Yuji Itadori. Us, the player, the soul, being Sukuna, and Noel being Megumi. I mean, okay, so it doesn't really exactly fit 1-to-1, but I mean, like, Megumi did get possessed by Sukuna, so I mean, like, take that as you will. But dang, man. Hey, all I'm saying is that, Chris, you should have expected this. You was beating me in the head with that trash can, okay? I'm going to someone who appreciates me more.
I also believe Susie, despite not being one of the main three, is the one that's going to save Noel, and in the end, the entire world. In Chapter 4, Chris has a moment of playing the piano. Chris is actually great at playing the piano. We see it referenced time and time again throughout the game, but while we are in control of them, they suddenly suck because we cannot play piano.
Dang, you didn't have to call us out about our skills.
Susie calls Chris by their name and tells them to play very sincerely, which leads to Chris, for a brief moment, gaining back control and playing without our inputs. Now, we know that Chris can rip out our heart and take back control of their body at any moment, but that is not what happens here, and that's why it's so special. Chris is able to gain back control while we are still inside of Chris. Susie's kind and authentic words had the ability to tear Chris away from our control, and I believe that Susie is going to be able to do the same thing for Noel. However, Noel is clearly far more powerful than Chris.
Yeah, look what we did to Birdie.
Snowgrave making her stronger, which means it's going to take something much bigger to move Noel. But we do know that Noel has a massive crush on Susie, so seeing her die while under our control because of our control,
don't make us do it, bro. Don't make us do it.
Noel back to reality, out of our control, so that the three heroes, Chris, Noel, and Rolsei, can banish us for good. Now, the prophecy follows a classic AABBC writing scheme, and lines 1, 3, and 5 use 10 syllables, while lines 2 and 4 use 8. So while this next bit is purely conjecture, I'm going to put some money on the prophecy going a little something like this. And then, when all hope is lost for the tale, the final tragedy unveils. To save the world, there is only one way. The girl's death breaks the angel's sway. Only then will the world be saved. This is on the more speculative side, but what an awesome story arc it would be for Susie. The class bully turned into a selfless warrior, willing to do whatever it takes to save the world. Although it would also mean her losing one of the character traits that makes her so unique. Susie is constantly defiant, attacking when we don't tell her, moving around without our inputs. But if she does sacrifice herself for the good of the world, then she's just like Chris, the Knight, Noel, Rolsei, even us, who are just following a set path that Toby Fox has pre-planned. Then again, I suppose that's kind of been the point from the start, hasn't it? But
dang.
That's just a theory. A game theory.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like the video so I know you guys enjoyed, and comment down below, what do you guys think? Honestly, I think it could possibly work, but come on, man. Don't make us be responsible for Susie's death, because I'm telling you now, if Susie perished, that's going to be sad. Like, I know a lot of people are going to be crying of that. They'll be like, no, why did this have to happen? No, you ruined my ship. But I mean, I can't really pass off the opportunity. I can't really pass off the inevitable. Say what you will about the pacifist run from the pacifist ending from, Undertale. Azrael is still down there. He's still down there in the underground with his flowers. Meanwhile, his mama and his papa are living up in the in the world. They're no longer stuck in the undergrounds. They're up in the human world now. So Come on, man. Don't do this. Well, I mean, let's be honest. It's going to happen. But I guess I'll also ask you guys, leave down in the comment section below, what do you think the next chapter of Deltarune would be? Because I'm not going to lie, Chapter 5, I feel like we might explore a Flower Kingdom. I'm pretty sure, because, like, Asgore was doing some things. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know what I'm talking about. But Asgore was literally, like, talking anonymously to himself and saying that soon Toriel will see and that our family will be whole again. So I feel like a representative of Asgore could be something, to behold in Chapter 5. And it would especially hit close to home to Chris. And I swear, if there is any Easter eggs about Flowey in Chapter 5, we're following the Flower Kingdom, I know the whole internet going to go crazy with it. But yeah, guys, be sure you subscribe to the channel as we're trying to upload daily. This is Juan Gamer 54 signing off.